What's good, everyone? Welcome back for another session. I was luckily able to go through all the Extreme Z battle stages before work, and I did test out a couple of runs. And do want to showcase the unit real quick. I do want to preface by stating that the hidden potential builds that you just saw are based on the pre-EZA kind of setup where I had level 14 for additional attack and level 20 for criticals. Now I'm going to run through the skill sets with the EZA here in a second, but I am going to reevaluate, the potential builds for that since I do have plenty of dupes and whatnot. It does have, the unit does have built-in crits now and what have you. So yeah, I just need to kind of reevaluate how I want to go about the build itself. But let's just talk about the unit overall with the EZA. I know I covered it on the news highlight video yesterday, but let me just reiterate the overall package. So this is again the Super physical type, Super Vegito Extreme Z Awakening. Leader skill is now Majin boost Saga, category key +3 HP attack and defense, increase of 170%. Super attack will cause immense damage to enemy and raises allies' attack and defense by 30% for one turn. For the passive skill, damage received from normal attacks -80%, encounters with tremendous power, defense increase of 150%, attack increase of 20% with each attack received up to 120%. Medium chance of performing a critical hit, key +1 up to a max of 3, defense increase of 30% up to a max of 90%, and chance of performing a critical hit +10% up to 30%, max every time the character receives an attack 3 times a battle. In terms of the link skill, you've got Super Saiyan that's going to add 15% to attack at level 10, prepare for battle will be key +2 and attack and defense increase of 5%, Fuse Fighter key +2, attack and defense increase of 5%. Power bestowed by God will be attack increase of 10% when performing a super attack. Infighter will be attack increase of 15%, and all enemies defense -15%. Golden Warrior will add all enemies defense -10% as well as key +1. And lastly, Fierce Battle will give you attack increase of 20%. And then in terms of like the categories overall, you've got Majin boost Saga, Patara, Super Saiyan, final trump card, Battle Wits, Accelerated Battle, and Fuse Fighter. Now in this case, I am including a team build with the brand new physical type LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku and the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta leads with the Power Wishes and the final trump card categories, and then obviously the Majin boost Saga and Accelerated Battle categories will get an additional boost of 30%. So that's kind of the overall team build there. Again, with the EZA skill sets and my current potential builds, I'm really thinking about maybe raising the additional attack levels a little bit more because, depending on first or second slot position for this guy, he's still going to be able to add 30% for one turn for attack and defense based on every super attack. So it does help, the rest of the allies on the rotation. And on top of that, he does have, the unit does have the ability to build up the critical hit percentage points based on the amount of frequency of attacks or what have you. So it's a good way to kind of reevaluate. I think really it comes down to this, right? The base starting position for this unit is relatively low from a super attack standpoint, right? But it does slowly build up with each attack received. You're able to build up that skill set around the attack as well as the defense, and also the key meter, and also the crit chances, right? So once you're fully built up, it's a decent unit overall. I think the thing to factor too is even though the super attack abilities output wise they might be relatively low, this guy does have the counter mechanics, so you're able to apply a lot of damage potentially depending on how many counter attacks you're able to perform during that rotation. So I guess you do kind of have to factor that in terms of let's just say the overall like attack output per turn basically, right? And then on top of that, you do have the damage reduction ability, so it does help mitigate damage to some degree in that regard as well. Now the unit does also link pretty well with the LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. They share about, I think, 4 links, and even though you're missing out on some potential links with, against, per, like the strength type LR Vegito, for example, I think the, the physical LRs that just came out, overall, from a balanced scorecard perspective, they're certainly way better than the STR Vegito right now. So, Vegito's great, like the strength Vegito's great in its own regard, but from a defensive standpoint, it can definitely be a little bit of a liability compared to some of the newer units. So that's kind of my point. If you're looking at, you know, team builds specifically on this set category, it might be better to kind of float the Strat type Vegito for a little bit and get that transformation in. And obviously you just saw it, but even with the transformed state, you know, that unit's going to take some damage. So, you know, that's one thing to keep in mind. I did include a couple of support units on this team as well. The EZA for STR Ultimate Gohan does provide, you know, a defensive boost of 50% for allies on the rotation. So in this case, for the physical Super Vegito unit, I wanted to boost up that defense and see how, you know, the countering and all that kind of worked out on that rotation, you know, given the enemy potential incoming enemy super attacks and what have you. So that's kind of the thought there. I did include the Turles unit because it did apply on the category setup, and of course that unit will provide, I believe, 40% toward attack for allies on the rotation, as well as like a key boost. So, you know, that should be helpful in that regard. And you do see output differences, you know, from an attack standpoint, given when Turles is on rotation. So again, this is kind of a sample build that I quickly, you know, decided in terms of like trying out the initial test runs on a couple of events. And with that being said, I do kind of want to go with alternative builds over the weekend and just kind of try out different events, probably more difficult events like Red Zone and Super Battle Road, maybe Extreme Super Battle Road and stuff like that, and see how the Super Vegito unit works overall in that setting too, because both of these settings, you know, they're on the Infinite Dragon Ball history stage, and you know, it's obvious that these events aren't quite as difficult as some of the other ones, like, you know, Red Zone and what have you. So I think from a more realistic perspective, obviously the team builds overall will change accordingly to the event difficulty and the type of enemies you face on said events. So I definitely do want to provide a lot more, I wouldn't say thorough, but alternative performance reviews of the unit, let's just say, right, based on different settings, because I'm actually, you know, I am curious as to like how this unit would perform on Super Battle Road or Extreme Super Battle Road. You know, given the amount of enemies you have on each of the battles and the amount of attacks incoming per rotation, it's a good spot to really test out the benefit of the counter mechanics with the EZA for this unit, and, you know, just the overall performance, I guess, in general. So definitely look for that over the weekend. I definitely plan on it. I have to work on the strength type Super Buu units, EZA, at some point today, probably after work or during my lunch break if I have time. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting testing out that unit too, because it's got 3 different variations of like transformation. So, you know, I got to make sure I pick up all those different variables, and it all depends on like the HP levels, if I'm not mistaken. So you really do have to kind of set up each turn output or outcome in a certain way to be able to, you know, produce the outcome that you're essentially looking for. So that'll be kind of an interesting run to kind of record content and try and showcase for you guys. So definitely be on the lookout for that. My thoughts, I guess, on this unit in particular, the physical Super Vegito with the EZA. I mean, I think, you know, one, I need to spend more time on you know, different types of team builds and link partners and what have you. I think from an overall performance standpoint, I think, you know, I saw upwards of, you know, up to 4 million from an attack output. Obviously, with the crits applied, with the counters, you can get, you know, upwards of 1 million plus, you know, per, you know, counter. So I guess in the overall scheme of things, from a rotational standpoint, I mean, it's you know, multi-million, for lack of better words. So it might not quite be like, you know, the 10, 11 million attack stats output per, you know, 18 key super attacks some of these units are able to perform, but I think it holds its own on its own regard. But again, I think for me to honestly assess this unit, I have to test it on Red Zone, you know, Super Battle Road settings, and a little bit more difficult events like that. Otherwise, you know, Infinite Dragon Ball history is not going to give you as realistic of a view in terms of, you know, how the unit overall performs. I mean, really the difference comes down to, like, you know, the floating support, right? Like, in a lot of cases, like, I wouldn't even include Turles on, you know, the ultimate Red Zone events because of, you know, the potential liability that comes about with that, you know, especially against, you know, Cell Max or the Gamma units, you know, that type of thing. So I honestly do want to do a different run where, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily less support, but a little bit more of a viable option in those types of event settings, and I'm pretty sure you guys are curious. That's the the same as well. But just to close out, I am curious as to what your overall thoughts are on this unit's EZA. Is it up to par in terms of the standards you were looking for? Is it subpar, lackluster? If so, what did you want out of it with the EZA versus what they ultimately came out with? So, certainly let me know in the comments. I think, I've only done like 3 or so runs so far with this unit after, Extreme Z awakening the guy, so I definitely do have to take more time, and I think on further videos coming up over the weekend, potentially, I'll be able to give you more updates in terms of what I think overall about the unit with the EZA. So, again, this is the quick showcase for the Extreme Z Awakened Super Physical Type Super Vegito unit. As always, thanks for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and certainly stay tuned for next time. Alright, I'm out of here. Peace out.